the thing that made me love this team originally was sort of the wacky picks and the things that they were willing to adapt on each patch here. It felt like they were willing to experiment here. And I'm glad to see that they're the first team in the LJL to pick up the Bel'Veth, because this is how you catch teams off guard. You pick these picks, which maybe they're not as experienced with dealing with. And compositionally speaking as well, their comp is pretty solid. If you ignore the Bel'Veth here, and look at everything else, they've got a really strong team fighting comp. Gnar in the LJL has been a staple. Granted, yes, you've got to play around the Rage Bar quite a bit, but Yellow Yoshi has done a good job of that. You've got another sort of pseudo frontline good peel with Megumin's Lissandra, and I think the Lissandra really fits the playstyle that Megumin, as it's shown that he excels at in Spring, right? That more supportive utility style pick, and then you just set up for Sangchu here. So Swamp in this case just feels like that extra little bit of topping on top of an already solid composition.
It's looking good for AXIZ, but I'm sure that CJ want to flex their muscle as well. Game on as we are on to the Rift for the first matchup of the day. Crest Gaming Act here on the blue side versus AXIZ. Both teams tied for 6th place at the moment, looking to secure their 3rd win.
Okay, middle card. Now that we're in here, we should probably talk a little bit more about Bel'Veth, because I think a lot of people probably aren't as familiar with this champion. She's completely new, has only been enabled this last week and a half on patch 12.12 here competitively. And the way Bel'Veth kind of works here is people have described her as Master Yi 2.0. She basically scales up with kills. You know, she's very strong as a carry, really fast attack speed here. But one of the reasons why I think she's better and actually viable competitively is her E. Basically, it gives her damage reduction, 70% damage reduction for a little bit of time when she engages. So she can actually go and soak up the damage. And if you're not bursting her down, she will absolutely rip you to shreds. The other thing is her ultimate as well. Basically, on champion kills or on Herald or Baron kills, she gets Coral Voids. What?
RMC, early action is what we wanted to see from CJ. Azuka is going to be forced to flash away, but the dredge line follows. The Ignite drops them low. And Nema with first blood.
What? What team is this here, middle card? Consider the level 2 gank? You know what? You have been calling for early proactive action. This is early proactive action. And I just love that they did this as well. Now they get to invade onto Swamp, and we touch on Bel'Veth's strength. One of the things that we didn't quite touch on is that she needs a bit of time to scale here. And early on, it's a little bit risky to try and fight the enemy jungler.
Yeah, Nema walking in there with a hook. Hybrid is here as well. Sangchu starting to move over. This blue buff is getting very, very low. I'm not sure if CJ want to fight this. Kasina's going to go in, but he gets rooted up by the choppers and he forced to flash back. Nema will have to do the same as here comes Megumin over the wall. It was good, but it's even better for AXIZ.
And this is worrying here, because now you've given kills over to Swamp and Megumin here. That jungle mid duel we're talking about. And already Megumin has that counter matchup. Already Swamp is going to scale a little bit better than that Wukong here. And it started so well, middle caught. Kassin, you know, gets the early gank here. And the problem is when he kind of decides to go for the invade, he's a little bit low on health after going for that. And that comes off that turret shot that Kassin ends up taking in order to secure that early kill. The play, it's good here. But when he steps up, takes that extra turret shot, which he kind of didn't need to because Hybrid had the range, it puts him low enough that in that resulting 3v3, AXIZ had the advantage once Azuka actually got back to lane.
And whilst you did get that early kill, it's first blood onto a Nautilus, which I'm sure Nema's going to be happy with that, but there's 4 people on CJ that would much rather that gold was on their side. And now we're seeing Swamp playing up, going for a little bit of an invade into the Wukong's jungle. Doesn't clear particularly fast, especially on 12.12, where that clear speed has been reduced. So Swamp is able to secure a couple of these camps. He can really get away with this Bel'Veth in the jungle.
Oh, and that was a little bit sloppy from Swamp, unfortunately. Actually does get spotted by the minion line going for the Krugs there. So he's going to get chased off by Nema. Hey, that's that early kill coming in for Nema, right? And here's the blue buff take as well. Kassin does manage to secure the blue buff, which is pretty important because it means that Swamp doesn't get the experience from that. But the problem is the kills make it an issue, and Swamp getting the kills is a bigger problem. Mid lane as well, Megumin being able to roam out is part of the problem. And this is why I was so happy when we saw that Lissandra R5 come through, because now you get that shove that can match that RE as well. And it's showing already. Now Swamp gets to play a little bit more aggressively, and Kassin can't actually look to invade. Even by doing this right now, middle court, I think Kasin's just playing with fire. Why are you playing so far up right now when there's no camps to take in that enemy jungle? And you see Ozuka over there.
Yeah, and it's not really like Kasin has anything that he can play towards in terms of a lane. So this Drake startup feels like more of a default, more of a well, there's nothing else that I can do on the map, so I might as well take Infernal Drake. You're going to be happy with the bonus AD and AP, although I'm sure that the lanes would probably prefer kills going their way.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially in the current meta, we've seen Herald be the favorite thing. A lot of teams favor tempo because it's getting really low. Hasmite will be able to secure that. Yeah, and you're right. This is more just Kasin saying, I've got nothing to do. My bot side was completely cleared by Swamp as well. Another consequence of that bot side invade. And for AXIZ, they don't care. AXIZ is some of the longest game times, average game times. So they don't really care about giving up that early Drake here. If anything, they'll just stack it up, later on, starting at that third Drake. They're more focus on trying to get all their carries ahead, getting Swamp ahead in terms of experience, in terms of camps, and making sure that Sanctu can soak as much as possible. I mean, look at Sanctu, even picking up the early call there to continue investing in scaling.
Well, I mean, when you've got a Tom Kench beside you, you can go for something a little bit more selfish, a little bit greedier in terms of your item builds, because especially once that level 6 hits and Azuka gets access to that Devour, it becomes so difficult for you to actually kill Sanctu in this 2v2.
Yeah, and because of that, you're not too worried about how the early lane goes, right? Just as long as you can farm up, as long as you don't get frozen out. And considering that, your mid jungle duo are doing pretty well, you're not worried about getting frozen out either. If that happens, you just call for jungle pressure. You just call for a mid roam to come down and punish that. And if anything, it's really up to CGA here to try and reclaim lost ground. Kasin could potentially look for another bot side gank if he wants here. He would probably have to try and sneak through lane though for maximal effect, and maybe just go in and soak till level 6, because I feel like Kasin right now really needs that Cyclone to become highly effective.
Yeah, ganking level 5 on Wukong, you're not at that maximum effectiveness, and you're honestly just going to be wasting time if you go for a gank that you would make work at level 6, and if you don't make it work when you're level 5, it's going to feel bad for you. We are seeing AXIZ cheating towards the top side. Nap has his flash available as well as the remove scurvy, so it's been quite ambitious to actually go for a kill here. Yellow Yoshi is stacking up the Mega Gnar, the GP able to walk away without too much trouble, as we're seeing a 2v2 in the box side. Sanctu just exploded before Azuka could save him. Oh, the time catch provides safety, but you need a couple more levels before that ultimate's available.
Exactly, Middlecott. Level 6 is that big marker there.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they're only level 4, so really well played from Hybrid and Nema to punish that early. Didn't even need the jungle pressure here, and that's precisely what AXIZ didn't want to see. And with that, CJ have finally pulled themselves into the lead here, and with that as well, now Kasin doesn't have to go down to this bot side as much, can instead look to punish Yellow Yoshi. And actually, in the top lane, Wukong was one of the counter matchups into Gnar, because then you get to gap close on Mini Gnar, and Mini Gnar very vulnerable to high burst damage here.
Well, it does appear that CJ aren't quite going to be able to contest that Herald, as we get a little bit of a look in on what happens in this bot lane. It's just Nema connecting with a hook.
Yeah, it's just that simple. They knew that they burnt the flash earlier, much earlier in those fights. And so, yeah, Sanctu just needs to be more respectful pretty much positionally. Now, Swamp picking this up as Bel'Veth, we do need to talk about that, because we're talking about the Void Corals, right? Swamp as Bel'Veth. When you kill a champion, they drop Void Corals. When you kill Herald or Baron, you drop Enhanced Void Corals. And what that does is when Swamp ults later on, any minions around them that dies will become sort of voidlings for them to push with, which makes them very, very dangerous.
Oh no, Azuka, you can't walk there.
Oh,
Cyclone used from Kasin, the flash over the wall, the chase, the follow through, and it's Nema securing his second kill of the game. CGA, they had a little bit of a slip up earlier, but now they're starting to feel themselves.
And Ozuka's still level 4 middle cards and set even further behind. Sanctu is 6 now, and for CGA, this bot lane is well and truly won. They can start diving if they want, and that's why they're calling Kaito down. Kaito is spotted here.
No. Oh no! Sanctu flashes away under the tower, but that's not going to save your life, mate. You would have preferred to save the summoner spell, as Hybrid secures the kill. Kaito will be forced to flash away by Swamp, but still, it's CGA benefiting off the proactive plays.
And they had full vision. We just said they had vision on Kaito's rotate down to the bot side. Sangchu just needs to ditch here. And the sick part is CGA on that dive really only burnt the Spirit Rush from Kaito. And that was used defensively to get out of range. So they can look to repeat this over and over and over again. And even when Ozuka hits 6, he's still probably going to be low enough in terms of levels that CGA should still continue win this lane.
Kaito being engaged onto by Megaman is going to cleanse out of the frozen tomb. So 3-minute window that AXIZ can visit that mid lane where the RE going to be a little bit more vulnerable. Swamp once again stealing away some cancer because Sin has built himself a pretty sizable lead in terms of those jungle CS monsters.
Yeah, because while Kassin has been ganking bot side, has been looking to make action happen, Swamp's just been power farming all you want. And again, when you're a carry, that's all you need to do. Kassin, once again, the bot side.
Oh no, the Chomper's actually buying some time, but not enough for Azuka. Yep. It's just the same play over and over again. AXIZ summoning the Herald in this mid lane will be able to take first brick. So we're seeing the resources really split across the map. Hybrid, the one getting fed for CGA, but a lot of the gold for AXIZ going into Swamp's hands.
Yeah, and we're seeing CGA once again go to that dragon here, pick that one up. And honestly, I think for AXIZ, they're fine with what's happening here. Yes, Sangchu and Ozuka are just kind of getting picked on, kind of getting bullied here, but it's not the end of the world. And for CGA, I think they're also kind of okay with this. Yes, they do lose first turret, but look at Sangchu again. This is a 1v1. There's no supports involved.
Oh my crikey, RMC. That's a lot of damage. And wanted to see proactivity out of Hybrid. Turns out all you need to do is just build Gale Force, and that means that you can play any champion like Kai'Sa.
Kind of. I mean, just look at the item discrepancy, right? Middle God it's not just the Gale Force for Hybrid. It's the lack of anything for Sangchu because you went with that early call here. And Ozuka is still not level 6, so you continue just bullying them out over and over again. Swamp hunting for this one here, 2 levels down.
Yeah, has been knocked up there. Oh, actually, that's a lot of damage being traded back by the Velvetas. Kassin is going to be joining the fray, going on to Swamp and takes them out. Nap is still alive, fighting up with Yellow. Yoshi's got the damage! Oh, what a masterclass from CJ in the top side.
To be honest, this is one of my big concerns with AXIZ so far, has been how their top side has been played. Yellow Yoshi has been struggling mechanically, and even in that fight, he didn't get a chance to go mega. It feels like the call was a little bit off. Like Swamp saying, okay, I'm going in. And Yoshi's like, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Well, you weren't. The enemy, CGA, is the one who actually responds first. Kassin getting to that fight first. And even worse is Yellow Yoshi can't even follow up, can't even find the kill. That's a massive problem. And Swamp going in here, actually 2 levels down, almost finds the kill. To me, that's already nuts. And that talks about the power of Bel'Veth and why I like her so much and think she's viable. But yeah, in a 2v1, CC is her hardest counter. And watch Yellow Yoshi here. That rage bar is not even close at the end of the day. He just doesn't get a chance to go mega, just gets completely played out. And now Nap and Kassin on this top side advantage. Hybrid and Emma, bot side at advantage. CGA, even in the mid lane, they're not too worried. Sure, Megumin's winning, but Kaito is still keeping up in farm. And Ari will always have some sort of utility with the risk of diving your backline.
That's the crucial thing for me, is that we saw AXIZ establish a little bit of an early advantage on Swamp on this top side, and the question was, well, how much can CJ's bot side carry against the top side of AXIZ? Now that top lane has sort of been equalized to a certain extent, it means that the strength that Hybrid currently has on this Aphelios is really going to be accentuated, walking into lane, potentially baiting Sangchu and the Azuka in a little bit.
I'm at this point, middle court. I see Kassin bot, and I just get worried for AXIZ right away here. But look at the collapse from AXIZ here. Swamp is coming, Megumin's coming.
Yeah, Nema flashed back away from Azuka, but they're able to re-engage onto the Tahm Kench. Not particularly tanky at this stage of the game, and Megumin not able to follow up. Double knockup for the Cyclone as Kassin is going in once again. This is the CJ that we love to see as Swamp does get that Void Coral, but will still go down. Kaito popping himself over the wall with the Orb of Deception as well. Dive may be on the wave, not there quite yet as Hybrid ushering that one in. The charm going just wise as Megaman is going to pop into the frozen to buy some time. Tower shot's actually onto Hybrid. That's a reset for Sangchu. The frozen fall will chase down Kassin. Kaito may be just enough to dissuade the aggression. CJ can turn around with some burst here onto Megamin. They're going to do it. They're going up the cannon barrage as well as Sanchu forced to run away. Flash available for Kaito with the Q as well. The autos, the W to finish it off.
CGA played that so well, and let's not forget, AXIZ had first rotate onto that fight here, and now, unfortunately, despite the win, because CGA had such an extended fight here, AXIZ are the ones who are coming back in here, will be able to reset that wave and shove, but this feels like the problem for AXIZ. Middle caught over and over again, slight mistakes, slight inability to execute is costing them here, and if we look at how this starts out, I want to focus on the bot side. Hybrid and Nema are winning out the 2v2 so hard. So despite the fact that AXIZ had Megamin and Swamp coming down first, it doesn't matter. And Swamp getting caught out was just kind of the icing on the cake, as it were, because suddenly you're losing the bot side, you're losing the other 2v2. And huge props to Megamin and Sangchu for this particular play under turret. The Frozen Tomb from Megamin being held for so long enables them to survive on this play. And the follow-up here, I honestly thought this should have gone a lot where Sangchu has flash and you've got Kraken Slayer. I actually expected Sangchu just flash and find kills.
Oh, flash hook in the mid side. Hybrid forced to dash back as Sangchu is so low. One more auto, but he is just in time from Azuko. He's not going to be able to get his AD carry away. His Swamp is dead. The Cyclone comes through. 3 kills for CGA. They are looking clean.
Look at the KDA of Kassin and Hybrid here, middle caught. 4-1-8 and 5-1-4. You can't fight that in equal numbers, and AXIZ needs to know when to respect that. Now, Megamin?
No, it keeps happening. No Cyclone available, so Lissandra can escape under the tower. But RMC, it feels like I'm watching a completely different CGA this game.
Yeah, this is what happened with Roscoe Jesters, it feels like, on day 6, where suddenly they're playing proactively and they look absolutely amazing. This was exactly what you had asked for, middle caught, and CGA is delivering. They're not sitting back, they're not scaling. Yes, they picked the Aphelios, but their Aphelios is well ahead of the curve here, and Kassin has been an absolute beast and monster here. And it's really facilitated as well by the fact that Nemo is utterly fearless. This was a 2v3 to start here, and CGA had vision of all those members, but because Hybrid's so far ahead, Nema is not afraid to just say, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger. Even if I die here, we get 3 kills, and Hybrid, you're so far ahead that that's fine. You're the win con, not me.
And picking up that Drake whilst we were in the replay, I believe, holy moly, leads across the map. That GP and that Aphelios are in disgusting positions, and now CGA, they're going to have an Ocean Soul in a few minutes' time, and whilst AXIZ aren't massively behind in terms of the gold, they're going to have to answer some really difficult questions in the next few minutes.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do, AXIZ? I think that's the most difficult question right now. Anytime they've tried to be proactive. Exactly. Forget winning the game. I'm just worried. Like, my first question is, what are you going to do to stay in the game as it stands? Because all your proactivity hasn't panned out, right? You lost the bot lane already, which was fine. You chose to sack it for mid and top, but top didn't pan out. And now Megamin isn't doing terribly well as well. Sure, you're up 10 CS, but you're down, what is that, 3 assists right now? You're down control, and you're funneling gold into Megamin. This isn't one of those late game carries like the Azir, like the Corki that we've seen from Megamin before. This is the Lissandra. This is the utility pick. You're running Everfrost, not the Andres either. So, AXIZ, what are you doing here? You need to continue funneling gold towards Swamp and Sangchu instead.
The Lissandra is an enabler. An enabler with lots of gold doesn't enable much better than an enabler without a lot of gold. I'm sure Sangchu would very much appreciate being able to take down that bot lane tower. I mean, itemization spikes have come through for AXIZ for a little bit. That Kraken Slayer has been in Swamp's pocket for a while. Same for the Kraken Slayer on Sangchu. Hold that thought. We're having another fight in the mid lane. CGA willing to pull the trigger, and AXIZ, they cannot respond. Azuka going down for the 6th time this game.
Okay, that one's not Azuka's fault. Like, Sangchu and Azuka weren't really that far out of position there. Both of them were out. Azuka had to die to keep Sangchu alive. But look at this Herald being dropped now. Oh, Kassin gets stopped.
Ooh, that dredge line was so close from Nema. Second charge going to come through from the Herald. 19 minutes on the board. 4,000 gold advantage for CGA so far. And AXIZ, honestly, look, lost. I think maybe once you get a couple items on Swamp on Sanctuary, you can look for something. But the fact that Megamin isn't willing to Frozen Claw into a Nautilus, I think really just speaks to how poorly this game has gone for AXIZ already.
To be fair, I'm glad Megaman didn't try.
I mean,
and
I'm
Frozen
glad he
Claw
didn't.
into it.
I'm glad he didn't RMC. But
Yeah.
I think in a game state that is a bit more favourable for AXIZ, you're absolutely taking that claw. You're going in, you're out in the Nautilus, you try and take them out, but you don't have the freedom, you don't have the safety to make plays like that.
No, you don't. The moment you see anybody near that Nautilus, as AXIZ, you're kind of backing off. And the other thing is what we touched on, the fact that, hey, Megaman's being funneled gold, but you're an enabler. You need somebody to follow up. Where was Swamp? Where was Sangshu? They weren't in position to follow up here. And middle call, there's 1% I feel like we haven't focused on for CGA in quite a while, and that is Nap on this GP. We've been touching on Kaito, on Hybrid, on Kasin, on Nema. Well, what happens when Nap starts joining the fight? Nap has been great with those cannon barrages to really, well, enable or to be that utility pick to slow people down, to corral them, into the rest of CGA. But GP is a ticking time bomb. And with that Trinity Force, with that Collector as well, I kind of want to see Nap just one-shot people in a lot of these team fights coming up.
I think you're probably going to see that RMC. Because you don't really have a massive tank line here for AXIZ. It is going to be that Trinity Force, which indexes quite well into the 1v1 matchup, but can't be that massive tank, especially as far behind as Yellow Yoshi is at the moment. And then Azuka?
Oh.
Megamin? It's not great.
Yeah, I mean, Yellow Yoshi did build the Warden's Mill, so at least he should be able to hold the 1v1 in terms of the damage, though he will probably struggle into the push. But yeah, you're right, everybody else is really
no, Azuka. No, you're not allowed to do that, mate. That's not possible. Megamin diving in now, knocked up with a Cyclone, exploded, does go into that Zonya's only one bat with the oh my god! An explosion of damage from Hybrid as the health bars disappear from AXIZ. Clean ace for CGA.
Well, we asked and CGA delivered. There you go. That's Nap one-shotting people into these fights. And for AXIZ, this is why I've kind of lost faith in them a lot, middle call. It's been their engages coming through. And Ozuka, again, why are you looking for that engage right there? You knew there were multiple members. Even if you go in, you're dead here, pretty much. Okay, so they get the vision on Nema. They know Nap is in the area. They saw Hybrid pushing mid. Those three members alone means that you don't win this 4v3. And sure enough, Ozuka goes in. And here's the disgusting part. Ozuka isn't even the one dying here. He dies to the cannon barrage and barrels incidentally. So you baited your entire team in and then die by accident. This is a massive problem. And you cannot be making plays like that when you're already so far behind.
That was pretty disgusting, RMC. Not gonna lie.
Yep.
Still recovering from that as AXIZ have recovered. They've left the fountain. They've made their way into the river. They didn't have a fun time the last time that they were here. And I can't imagine they're going to be enjoying it this time around. Stepping up quite proactively. But if someone oversteps, if one person is a little bit too far forward, Nema going to throw out that hook and health bars are going to be evaporated pretty rapid.
This is a win for AXIZ, though, the longer they can hold them here, because CGA did pick up Baron. Bot side, the fight has already started.
Yeah, Megaman getting played onto is going to take that claw into the pit, but Kaito's able to follow them through. Kasin actually knocked away, not quite able to get the engages. It's a 1-for-1 so far. And Swamp picking up that Void Carol is able to reset, but there's the hook. There's the engage. There's Azuka going down. And now CGA just keep going. Megaman gets shot in the back of the head by Nap. CJ claim the Drake's soul. They're going to be taking some structures in this mid side.
That wasn't even a barrel, middle card. He just walked up and executed Megaman with a pistol to the head. I mean, bro, sounds like a semi-automatic. That was just a single shot to the back of the head. That was absolutely brutal. And I was just praising AXIZ because the longer you stall this out, the better, right? There is Baron buff in play for CGA here. And so if you're just sitting at Dragon, you're not utilizing that. The initial fight isn't too bad as well for AXIZ. They get the pick. The problem, though, is so what if you killed one person? It doesn't really matter. There's still so much damage. There's still so much engage. And yeah, there we go. That's the execution coming through from Nap. I want to highlight, too, in that fight that second phase of the fight, Nap's cannon barrage was used for damage. But if they had just dropped it as an engage, they don't even need Nema to land the hook, honestly. If they just drop the cannon barrage and walk at you, AXIZ would still get wiped anyhow.
And we're starting to see carry Nap come online. So much in the early stages of this game was about Hybrid and Kassin in that bot lane, and you even touched just now on how we haven't been talking about Nap. Well, currently 7-0-6, 3 items completed on the GP. I think maybe he's listening to the broadcast and wanted some people to take a bit more notice of him.
True. And, we had said as well on the desk that CGA, they've been trying to play through Nap, but it feels like giving Nap those early resources doesn't always pan out. I think this is a much better way to get carry Nap online. Give Nap a scaling pick, get Hybrid and Nema so far ahead that suddenly the enemy team has to focus the bot side. They forget about Nap, and Nap, you get to rejoin the game at 20 minutes and one-shot people. I think that is a much better game plan blueprint for CGA to play with.
Hey, it feels pretty good. It's been looking pretty good so far in this game as Crest Gaming Act have accrued themselves a 9,000 gold advantage and that Ocean Drake buff as well. So the Rift really is their oyster at the moment. AXIZ still have a fair few structures to their name, and the Jinx provides pretty decent wave clear. So I think CJ need a couple of picks before they can really get the siege going.
I think they can actually dive this middle card, especially if they see Yellow Yoshi in any other lane.
I think it's technically a pick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, my life. Well, maybe we see that here as bot lane tower. Appears to be where most of the pressure is going. CJ playing actually on all 3 lanes at the moment. Hybrid posted up in that mid-side Nap. Just dancing around the top quadrant of the map. Doesn't want to overextend too much. And with that inner tower falling in the bot lane, there is only one structure remaining for AXIZ outside of their own base. I don't think Nap's going to be able to get it anytime soon with Swamp in the area.
I'm kind of worried for Swamp and Yellow Yoshi here.
This is quite risky from Swamp. 4 levels down on the GP, but so much damage regardless. This is not going to be a 1v2 coming through. That's a big shutdown. But the rest of CJ are here. Kassin is missing. This is a 4v3, and that's a huge knock-up coming through. Swamp is being forced back slowly as Hybrid trying to do as much damage as he can, but already the Nautilus taken out. Here comes Kassin, diving into the fight, breaking up the backline, causing chaos. As Sangchu goes down, and it looked good for AXIZ for but a moment. But as CGA get all 5 members in the fight, it all goes disastrously wrong for the Narble squad.
Yeah, and Swamp is doing a lot of damage here, middle card, but Hybrid's just doing more here.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a 3v5, but honestly, unless AXIZ can collapse and kill Hybrid immediately, I don't care how many people we've got on the table. Hybrid is full health after that fight with that Bloodthirster picked up as well. I hope we get a replay because I want to highlight Hybrid's positioning throughout the entire fight. Thank you. The production can hear me even if AXIZ can't hear. And the pick onto Nap is great. I did not expect Swamp to actually do that much damage, but I wanted to point out that look for a second that Swamp almost actually goes down. It is kind of sketchy, and if Yellow Yoshi didn't go Mega right there, they wouldn't have had the CC to do it. Now watch Hybrid in this fight here, because he gets kind of low, but then he now sits in that Krug alcove, and AXIZ can't actually get in range, so he's able to output damage. And right here, this critical flash to save him is what changes everything, because AXIZ desperately needed to gap close. They get the gap close, Flash gets him out, and the moment that happens, CGA just cleans house for the rest of the fight. So for AXIZ, the game plan is really simple in teamfights right now. It's kill Hybrid. It's easy to say, though, but very, very hard to execute when you consider what tools they have.
Because Hybrid is this player that just loves standing right on the edge. As Swamp currently standing on the edge of life is going to be forced to flash away as Ozaka dead again. Nat flashes, casts his gun, bang, you are dead.
I don't know if I'm loving to watch the barrels, getting multi-crits off more, or if I just love Nat single-shotting, with the pistol, just executing people on the back.
Hey, he's playing old school GP, baby. Old school GP.
Oh, yeah. And it's working. You can't argue with that. Second Baron for CGA here. They've already broken the base open. Mid inhibitor is exposed. Elder coming up in 30 seconds as well. CGA, you set the rifts, their oyster. Well, now it's time to shuck it here because they can go wherever they want in AXIZ. AXIZ are left scrambling. You don't know where CGA want to go. If you fight for Elder and they go for base, game ends. If you defend base and they get Elder, they push in, game ends. AXIZ, what you gonna do?
It's a good start here from Megaman, recognizing that this Cassandra needs to flank in order to be useful, but now going to be spotted out by Kaito, and, well, I mean, this just really illustrates the lead that CGA have. AXIZ have kind of been forced out of this river without CGA actually pushing them away, and they're going, hold on, we don't care too much about this Elder Drake. We're just going to try and end the game. This is risky. If AXIZ take this, they could really flip this one on its head. It's going low very quickly. Already 5,000 gold. CGA are giving up Elder Drake in a game that they are winning. Secured for AXIZ, secured for Belveth, as Nemba is going to be going low and popping down. Hybrid slammed into the wall as AXIZ, they need to get on top of this. Aphelios to take out before Nap ends the damn game. Yellow Yoshi is charmed. Hybrid buying as much time as possible. Kassin going over wall is going to be interrupting the recall from Megamin. That's big. As Nap takes down the Nexus towers. I thought CGA had flipped it. They're just 200 IQ. You can't get back in time. And Nap destroys the Nexus.
Oh my goodness, Middlecott. It's to me hilarious also because into chat here we had Kashka saying surely this game is unthrowable and Mas1 was, if it was any other team, yes. And when I